You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
I'm back. Regents for Black and White Sports. We're going to talk about the Bengals. Man, more and more details are coming out about how bad this situation involving the Bengals in the AFC playoff scenarios, most of it being about the coin flip involving the Ravens that the Bengals are flat irate about. We're now finding out details about the fact that they absolutely believed and were told they thought that game with the Bills would be played at some point this week. We're also finding out now that the Bengals might not have been so easy to have called that game and walked away the other day, even in light of the tragic situation involving Damar Hamlin and everything that went on, because the Bengals had no idea they were going to be competitively disadvantaged because of the situation. They had no idea that this was going to end up this way. And of course, they've got a young quarterback. They're a team that, in theory, is historically chasing an opportunity for back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. That is a big deal. You've got this young quarterback. I said yesterday, what happens if he never makes another Super Bowl again? What happens if Zac Taylor and Joe Burrow believe this is their best Bengals team that they will ever have? And this season, the events that happened the other day could competitively cost them a true chance at finding out. And the things that we're finding out they were told, it's pretty clear the Bengals absolutely believe the NFL screwed them. That the NFL screwed them. Bengals VP, their executive VP, voted against the coin flip measure, the rule change that the NFL put in place. She lobbied the other owners to vote against it. The other owners turned their back on the Bengals. And this is unbelievable. We're finding out now, as you can see on the screen, the Bengals were told this game would resume. Okay? And then we found out when they realized it would not resume on Monday night, they thought it was going to play on Tuesday. So this took a massive downturn, a downward spiral for the Bengals. And they're, as an organization, they're pissed. Everybody, and look, Damar Hamlin, the progress he's made, it's wonderful. Everybody understood that game not being played the other night at the time it happened. But at the same time, I'm sure Bengals fans and Bengals, the organization and the players, had no idea this was going to affect their potential playoff run. And the Bengals are a very dangerous, hot team right now in the NFL. This is Florio. Oh, man. And this is coming off of the video I did last night on the other sports channel from ESPN, Seth Wickersham, peeling back the curtain on all of this and just how mad. It wasn't just Zac Taylor that was pissed, but the entire organization is mad throughout. The players aren't happy. On Monday night, the Bengals were told the game will resume in 10 minutes. Also, this peels back the curtain that the NFL, Troy Vincent, Roger Goodell, they are lying to people about the fact that they had no idea and they have been telling people that the game would never resume, or they don't know where certain aspects were coming from. When the players believe, when they think things are going to resume after 10 minutes, something is wrong here. As the Bills and the Bengals prepare to resume playing football on Sunday, a question still lingers regarding whether the teams were told that their Week 17 game would resume after appropriate care and attention had been given to Buffalo safety Damar Hamlin. ESPN said during the broadcast that the game would resume after a 5-minute warm-up period. NFL Executive VP of Operations Troy Vincent has twice disavowed knowledge of any such plan to resume during media conference calls, calling the prospect of continuing the game, quote, ridiculous, quote, insensitive, inappropriate, and saying that, quote, it lacked both empathy and compassion for Damar Hamlin. So what actually transpired? Per multiple sources who requested anonymity given the sensitive nature of the situation, and by sensitive nature, I'm sure they're talking about everybody's overreaction to something like what Skip Bayless said. I mean, Skip Bayless, look, the timing wasn't great for Skip's tweet, but it was a valid question to ask at some point. It was. This is $1 billion business. These clubs are, $1 million players, and the clubs are worth billions of dollars. Bengals players were informed by a member of the officiating crew that the game against the Bills would resume in 10 minutes. As a source explained it, Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow began throwing on the sideline after the Bengals noticed that Bills receiver Stephon Diggs was trying to get his teammates appropriately motivated to continue the game. As the Bengals prepared to continue to play, it eventually became obvious it would not happen. At least one player heard the Bills coach, Sean McDermott, say the Bills would not continue even if it meant forfeiting the game. The Bengals were willing to accommodate the Bills. One player heard Bengals coach Zac Taylor offer to resume the game on Tuesday. Bengals players generally accepted the prospect of a one-day delay. But then the Bills left Cincinnati. And this is where it just gets really interesting. Multiple Bengals players were confused by that development as it occurred. On one hand, they were sensitive to the situation involving Damar Hamlin. On the other hand, they fully realized the stakes of the game and they wanted to get it played. Wow. Bengals players were in the dark all week about the status of the game. They first heard that the game would be canceled when the league announced it on Thursday night. Before that, they didn't know whether they'd play the Ravens on Sunday or the Bills. Some thought they possibly would play the Bills on Thursday night. For the Bengals, it's a touchy subject. They understand that a serious health condition occurred, but they also believe that they were given a raw deal by the NFL, both by canceling a game they wanted to play and by changing the rules regarding playoff seeding. The Bengals could have secured the number 1 or number 2 seed by beating the Bills. I mean, this is an effing of monumental proportions. And somebody's lying with the NFL about the idea that this game was going to resume. I mean, the NFL, Roger Goodell, Troy Vincent look terrible right now. Now, their best case scenario is number 2. They can still get a 2 seed if they beat the Ravens, and if the Bills lose to the Patriots, which nobody sees happening. There's no way. All of that emotion that the Bills are going to have, look, one of the best bets is the idea that the Patriots may get destroyed today by 30. I mean, let's be real. Regardless, the truth is the Bengals initially were told play would indeed resume by officials responsible for the game. The truth also seems to be if the Bengals had known the game wouldn't be finished at all and that the rules would change later to make it harder for them to realize a favorable playoff seed, they wouldn't have been quite so accommodating of the Bills. I mean, that's a bombshell. That's a bombshell that it's now coming out that the Bengals were completely under the assumption this game would get played at some point this week, and they certainly were not going to get penalized from a playoff perspective for it. The NFL looks terrible. And I raised the question last night on the video I did on the other channel, did they allow the Ravens to participate in this ownership vote? I'm just wondering because the Ravens stand to benefit potentially from a coin flip. Did that happen? I'm just wondering. You know, any of the teams that have seeding ahead of the Bengals. Was that ownership allowed to participate in the vote? Because if they did, to change the rules, how is that fair? It can potentially benefit people ahead of them in the seating. And it can certainly benefit the Ravens if they win a coin toss if that scenario comes around. Wow. Everybody with the Bengals is furious. Everybody is. Everybody is completely aware and conscious of the disaster and the tragedy that almost occurred and was still very touch and go, even just a couple of days ago, of Damar Hamlin's situation. But now we're in playoff football mode. Okay, we essentially played a playoff game last night. It was a playoff game for the AFC South title, and the Jaguars are AFC South champions. Wow. I mean, this is competitively, this is a massive black eye for the NFL. I hope we really don't get in, and I'm sure it's going to happen. Oh, the praise that the NFL has taken in this whole situation. Really? Because it looks to me like they have handled it disastrously. This is a fireable kind of offense that Roger Goodell should be facing, and they won't do it. The owners won't do it because they partook in it. Wow. Unbelievable. If you're a Bengals fan right now, I mean, I can't imagine you're just beside yourself. Beside yourself, especially if you view this team as a Super Bowl potential team. And look, this Bengals team can beat the Chiefs or the Bills. They're that good on offense. It was absolutely possible that they might be able to pull that off. Wow. Tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. It's getting worse and worse. 3 of these stories have come out in 24 hours. And every time one comes out, the next one's worse than the previous one. Wow. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.